in the previous video, we talked about that in the back end, they try to communicate via URI. Again, in case you forgot what is URI, this is the URL. That's the one you're typing in on your browser. For example, you're going to Facebook and you're going to Google. Okay, and that's how we communicate. And recall, we showed the discussion wherein, for example, we have a local host. You run it on via your terminal. You try to run it on your computer, and then we've discussed that in order for you to do the extreme cut, which is the previous video, we talk about that we want to go to the deep extreme cut as discussed in the urls.py inside the deep extreme cut segmentation app. And then what they do is they create something called job, and then from then on they would create something like an ID. Okay, job. I think deep extreme cut create and then one and then the job ID. Okay, and this is how we can create. Okay, and then the other one. So again, this is shown here on the screen right now. Again, it's in the CVAT apps deep extreme cut urls.py. Okay, so that is why if you, for example, you want to communicate to the backend, what you do now again is simply localhost 8080, and then we learned that it should be deep extreme cut. The app dxt is under dxtr URL, and then let's say you want to create a new box, you create and then say the job ID. Okay, let's say it's 150, and then we've learned that that's how it can communicate to the back end, and that's how it can run the model so that it can create the segmentation. Okay, the challenge now is that there goes the question, is it the user who manually navigates to this URI? We haven't talked about how it communicates. Recall that in CVAT, what it does is just using mouse and click and some keyboards to communicate to the back end. It never use a URL to communicate for the user to type on this to type the URL so that it can run something, right? Okay. So how does it communicate? No, let's go back to deep extreme segmentation, and that there goes question: is it the user that types the URL or not? Okay, if it's not the user, of course, no. Think about it. It should not be the user. It's not the annotator. So if it's not the annotator, how do we create that URL? How do you communicate? So there goes. We now talk about the front end. Okay, front end is talk about now again. See, but it's already in the app. Okay, so it's about HTML, CSS, JavaScript. No? So in order for us to know how does it do it, again, we can go to the same directory, no, the DXTR segmentation, and let's go to the JavaScript. JavaScript. Okay, just as a little bit of trivia, this is the reason why they created static DXTR segmentation before you go to JS, even if it's just one folder, is because of the Django. Okay, that's how Django wants for you to do the folder. If you have a static file like CSS, JavaScript, you put it on static, and then the name of the app, then type J, and then that's it. No? In this case, he tried to organize it more by putting it on a JS folder. Okay, so let's try to check this engine plugin.js. Okay, first, of course, internet is slow. It's okay. First thing that you would notice, okay, if you try to open this one, of course, now we're expecting this is the front end. Now, how does it communicate? First thing that you would notice is this: they created something called Windows Add Event Listener. Okay, try to look at this one. Okay, Window Add Event Listener, DOM content loaded. Okay, so first thing that it should be loaded. Of course, we still don't know what it is, but you can already infer what it does. Okay, this one here, it creates a function. Okay, and this is the content of the function up until, where is it? The whole thing. It's the whole thing. No? It's the whole thing. That's the whole content. No? So when you try to load the model, try to create a listener. So it's you're creating a server, that or a listener to be exact, in that socket, wherein it would try to this is the one you trigger, for you to run something, the whole thing. If as long as you were able to do this, it would automatically do this. Okay, the next thing that we want to see is okay, so although we can't really understand everything now, and again, you don't have to at this point, no? One thing that you would notice is try to check this one. Okay, of course you just created a variable, and this one, I can't understand it. Okay, so it just creates a div. So I think you're creating a button that you want to overlay later on to the body when you trigger this Dexter overlay. And then this one here, okay, so this is a dollar function. I think this is a very jQuery specific shortcut, but I think based on how I understand it, I can't understand it. Okay. Uh, okay. So the next thing is this one. I think it's more of you want to create when you press the click, no, on click, when the cancel bits is clicked, no, first thing you want to disable it, and then let's try to understand this one. Okay, this one here is a jQuery Ajax combination. Basically, I would refer you to this video, no? jQuery Ajax tutorial. Basically, this is a way for you to create a communication or to create an automated URI to the at the back end. Again, this is the front end tries to communicate to the back end. Okay, so this one, when you see this one, this is a very jQuery specific. It's not the same as the previous video wherein it refers to the bash variables, but now since you're inside JavaScript, this is a different thing, no? And it's more of they say it refers, especially when you see $.ajax, it's more of creating an API. So that's how you can create an API in JavaScript, no? And just by looking at how, of course, this should be in a JSON format, JSON object notation format. Okay, and one thing that you will notice now is that it now creates calls this URL to exact dxtr cancel, and then window.cvat the jobs ID. And then again, if you try to remember our discussion in the previous video, oh my god, diba? This is the job ID, right? So this is the URL, this is the cancel, and then job ID. Okay, this one naman, I know this is already overwhelming. This is part of the REST API. Again, this is jQuery, this is Ajax, and now it uses REST API to communicate at the back end. So you need that combination, no? That's the famous one. This is the get notation. Okay, so at this point, when you provide a get, so basically you just want to get something from this URL. Okay, and then after showing that, if it's already complete, you would disable the prop. Disable will now make it false, so thus making the cancel button enabled again. Okay, that's what it does. Now the interesting part here is okay, this is just a constructor. Let's skip it a little bit. The interesting part I've noticed here is on here, shape creator view wrapper. Again, we're just discussing the API, so let's go straight to the API. How about now? Again, if you've tried the DXTRX segmentation, what you would notice is you would put 4 points, for example, and then from then on, you would expect after creating 4 points, it would click the auto segment, and then you would be able to run the model, and that's it. It will show up the model. How does it do it? It's actually here inside, no? If the error is greater than the error threshold, again, it will create a REST API, a jQuery again. This is Ajax. Then you go and navigate to the DXTR create. Oh god, diba? I hope you this is something epiphany for you. DXTR create, and then this is the job ID again. Now and then the beautiful part now is that you're creating post. Okay, get is you're pulling something from the back end. Okay, when you say post, you're pushing something. You're pushing your something towards that back end. So that's the meaning. So I'm the front end, I'm giving you something. That's the meaning of post, no? And then look at the data, JSON stringify. The data that he's trying to post to this URL is a frame, in the actual points that the user is typing. Okay, so again, this is a REST API. So now you're creating a JSON, and then upon success, no, you would perform this statements here. And then if it's an error, you would perform this statement. And then if it's already, you can already cancel it, and then that's it. Okay. With that, I think that's already overwhelming on its own. Again, I believe you still need to learn more how to edit this CVAT. But I hope, given this discussion, you understand more how we can create an API from the front end towards the back end. Okay. With that, thank you very much.